This is the Unstarving Musicians podcast. I'm your host, Rabonzo. This podcast features conversations with indie music artists and indie pros and me. It's all intended to help other artists be better at marketing, business, the creative process, and all the other things that empower us to do more of what we love. Make music. Hey, the Unstarving Musician is made possible through the generosity of listeners like you. If you love the podcast, please visit our sponsor page at unstarvingmusician.com/crowd sponsor to learn about the different ways that you can support the podcast. Welcome to another episode. Thank you for being here with me. I'm so happy to have you here with me. My guest is Garret Laver of the trio Lucid Phase. If I may genreify them, which you know I enjoy doing if you are a listener, a regular, they are into roots reggae, dub, jam, blues, and world music. So Garret and his bandmates met at Savannah College of Art and Design, or SCAD, or SCAD. I don't know why, but I thought that was very cool. We talk a bit about that. That college is located in Georgia, and it's where they collectively studied film and sound design, which has come in handy for their music endeavors, obviously. They put all that vocational college stuff to work to produce and market what they're doing. Garret and I spoke on the heels of their then new single Roots Enterprise. We talk about that, his bandmates, collaborators, recording, writing, and his writing process, and more. They are actually about to release something new. When we spoke, they were well into the follow-up to the 2020 release they did called The Crop, which was their first full-length release. And this new one coming out is scheduled to be out in 2021, which is just around the corner as I record this introduction. These guys are new to the process of creating and publishing music, so the timing of our conversation is kind of interesting and kind of cool because I, too, am new to the process of creating and publishing music. I have a new song, a yet-to-be-released song, which I've been talking about, feels like for months now. If you would like a sneak preview, you can visit Rabonzo.com to check it out, and it will be released in January, if all goes according to my evil plan. This is a great conversation with lots of takeaways. Check out Garret's band, Lucid Phase, at lucidphasemusic.com and at Lucid Phase Music on the socials. Here is me and Garret Laver of Lucid Phase. So you guys have a new song out. Let's go ahead and dive into that.
Sure.
By the way, how long have you been in Los Angeles?
I've been in Los Angeles for 5 years.
Okay.
Almost 6 years. I came from Georgia before that, Savannah, Georgia, where I went to art school, Savannah College of Art and Design. And I grew up in Philadelphia, going all the way back, so I grew up in Philly, and then I lived in Georgia for 4 years, and then came to LA around 2014, 2015.
Okay. Well, the Philly life explains why you don't have a Georgia accent.
Yeah. Sometimes it trickles in. A lot of my friends are Southern, and sometimes it does trickle in. The y'alls come out, but definitely pulling from the Northeast as well.
Yeah, sure. So I was born and spent many, many years of my life in Dallas-Fort Worth, Texas, and mine creeps out too, and I have nothing against the Southern accent, but it's kind of there's definitely a really strong one in Georgia. We met some good friends here in Panama, probably the first year that we were here, and they were from Georgia, and they have a serious accent, and it's pretty fun to talk to them.
Absolutely fun, the lingo. It's kind of like poetic in a way if you get the right people, so that's cool. Yeah, definitely love my years down in Georgia. It was a good time.
That's cool. Okay, so Roots Enterprise, that's the name of the new song, right?
Yeah, the new song Roots Enterprise, and it features our friend Sensi Trails, which is a really popular roots reggae group in San Diego.
Cool.
They're good. Yeah.
I took Sensi Trails as like the artist name of the singer, but it's kind of a band, right?
Yep, they're a trio. and Kyle Rising is the lead singer. He's the founder of the group, and great kid. He's pretty young too. I'm 28, and I feel like he came into the music scene pretty early on, and moved out here in a interesting way. He started out in, I think it was Virginia Beach, where he started his music career and started playing East Coast reggae music there. And a lot of that reggae music trickled in, of course, from Jamaica and also from California. So both of those places had an influence, on me personally, and probably a lot of the fans of reggae music on the East Coast. So it's not the most popular genre, but there is a lot of really good scene that happens out there, and of course here in California it's pretty big. So yeah, he came from Virginia Beach and drove out here and met up with some musicians in San Diego and kind of started a new chapter of his life. And it's really been working out for him. They've been, before coronavirus and everything, they were doing tons of great shows, and they have a really dedicated fan following just because they're honest and, they're really fun, and they're a lot of fun to see live as well.
Yeah, he's a great singer. Just checking him out. It took me a while to sort of connect the dots, and I'm sure now in retrospect it's because I went through your press release, and I just started thinking, wait, this is 2 bands. Wait, there's 3. Wait, who's the band? But I got it. Your band is Lucid Phase. Roots Enterprise is the song. Now I get Sensi Trails is a band in which Kyle Rising, that lead singer that we're talking about, plays in. So that's cool. Very cool.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And I wanted to ask also about, so when did the single come out? I'm sorry, I keep trying to skip over.
That's fine. The single came out, I believe, August 21st.
Okay.
The single came out, I think, August 21st, and we were really excited about it. We were trying to do a song that had a really fun like breakdown, kind of going to halftime in a way, in these moments where it just breaks the locomotive type, the chucks on the guitar, trying to propel energy, emotion, and that's where those things come in, all those sounds. Jake is an awesome percussionist. He plays keyboard, does all the backing vocals, harmonies, things like that, but really tried to fine tune the instruments that he used for Roots Enterprise specifically for those sounds that you might hear on a train, like the train whistles. He got a couple of them, and we tried out some different train whistles and trying to do it where we pan the sound left to right and do like a nice fade on it so it sounds like it's the train's receding into the distance. And then Cyrus played some slide guitar for it, and tried to mimic like a chugga 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 on the train, going down the tracks. So all those sounds on it were really fun to kind of think. And as soon as we thought of one thing, we were like, oh wait, we got to do this and this and this. And then Kyle came in with the all aboards, and the lyrics was the first thing that we did for it. I wrote the lyrics a few months prior, and I just thought it would be cool to think of some sort of secret passageway for really great reggae music, or a really good time, sort of like a 9 3/4 platform 9 3/4 type of thing where you had to know somebody. And so that's why I say heard through a friend of a friend of a friend there is something that we must see. And those things, it kind of just came together. It's like, well, why don't I just paint a picture of this fantastic train station that is themed tropical vibes, reggae vibes, and just try to paint that picture, and then talk about this mode of transportation, and just talking about wanting to go and bringing your friends along, and that's where it came together. So it was a really fun song to do lyrically, and then also when we mixed it and produced it together in the studio as well.
I like that. The story I read, about the interest in getting the locomotive vibe in it, but hearing you tell it makes me want to listen to it with with totally different ears. Tell me what 9 3/4 is. I don't know any.
Oh, just from Harry Potter, I was mentioning
Oh,
when in Harry Potter the secret train. Yeah.
got it.
So
Yeah.
just referring to that, I don't say it in the song, but it was definitely in my head.
That's funny. One of these days I'll have to read that. My wife read them all, and I had a guest on here a while back, female artist who was just an insane, unabashed Harry Potter fan. I'll have to figure out, find which episode that was. But yeah, okay, cool. I get it. How did you guys, the band? You mentioned it when I don't even know if we've mentioned it yet since I officially started recording. But you mentioned Savannah College of Art and Design, where the band met. And I looked at what you guys were studying, and I was like, wow, what a great mix of vocational learning for what you're doing now for music. I was curious to know, that's the way it looked to me on paper or on, when I was reading some of the stuff about you guys. Have you actually applied a lot of that in everything that you're doing today?
Absolutely, and I really couldn't agree more. And it really does feel like a special alignment of the stars that we came together to work on this. I myself have a film background, and that's what I went to school for. And I got a bachelor's of fine arts degree in film and television, which was great. I loved the film department and working with gear and everything. But what I really loved at school was my cinema studies minor, where our classes were about like analyzing film and shot design and breaking films down, like to find like symbolism and metaphors and things like that. And I just absolutely loved that class. But Jake did sound mix or sound design, and Cyrus did sound design as well. So both of those guys, Lucid Phase, I would consider us, we're a trio. Myself, Jacob Flack, and Cyrus Maliki. And, we just played a private event a couple weeks ago. It was our first show ever. Socially distanced, of course, but it sounded incredible. And we had my buddy Michael Kane from Denver, who's in a group Tatanka, an excellent drummer. He came down, and then Raul Perez from Bakersfield is a great bass player and a really good dude. And they came in, and we rehearsed for a few days, and had an awesome show a couple weeks ago. And it was our first time we had a live presence, so that was awesome. But those guys, I would love to play with them more. But for now, I would say as far as the studio goes, Lucid Phase is comprised of the three of us, and all three of us went to SCAD together. And Jake and Cyrus were both sound design majors and came out to Los Angeles around the same time as me, and where I was looking for music videos to shoot and commercials to direct and just kind of start getting my hands in like the independent film world out here. They were getting involved. Jake is an Emmy nominated sound designer now. He did the sound for Wild Wild Country, which was a documentary that came out on Netflix a couple years ago, and works with some really, really great people here in Los Angeles doing, different short films and long feature films and shows and things like that. And Cyrus works for Showtime. He does their travel booking and I think a few other things in production. But he's an absolute whiz in the studio. Before he did Showtime, he was doing a lot of music engineering in Atlanta, and he just knows how to run the soundboard like no other, and just really is the key to the sound that we can get out of the studio and the sound that we're producing. And then it comes full circle when we have Cyrus's engineering, not only engineering skills, but he plays lead guitar and also lays down bass lines and keyboard for the songs. And then Jake comes in. I think Jake's accrued about 30, 35 instruments in the past year. He has got all these interesting sounds. He loves international sounds, Latin percussion, things like that. And really has just brought to the table so many unique sounds and interesting arrangements and melodies. And I really couldn't see the music come together without all three of us on it.
And do you by chance borrow from your film education and cinema studies for the video things that you're doing, and do you see opportunities for continuing to do that, assuming you do?
Yeah, I definitely do. I think, anytime we have the opportunity to shoot, music videos, because I have all the gear already, because, I'm doing a lot of music videos for people already. So, we could always, just get out there and shoot a video. Like the Roots Enterprise one was our first attempt at a music video, and we definitely want to do some more real soon. And a lot of the connections that we've made in the Roots reggae community, I've been able to work with, Addis Pablo, who is the son of Augustus Pablo, who's a really prominent, or was, melodica player and kind of an innovator in Jamaica with Bob Marley and among others that he played with. And a lot of the connections that I've made personally shooting music videos for Sensi Trails, and for the late ones who we just got on a new song that we're doing. Those connections have translated into our music because they've all been artists that we've been able to work with and have put us on the map for playing shows and just getting more in touch with, those kinds of people. So the film has definitely benefited the music for sure.
Yeah, and the way I asked it, I think, well, that was kind of a dumb question, but thank you for elaborating the way you did. It was the way, and I say it was a dumb question the way I asked it, but great elaboration. I kind of, I look at the process of creating videos more and more. I don't have a background like you, so I look for people to work with, and I've talked to several artists who've done them who come from different approaches, but generally anyone who has a knack for doing a good video has some sort of artistic love embedded in them if they didn't have some formal education like yourself. But that's really nice that you're able to apply that. And so how's balancing all those, well, I heard at least a couple of full-time day job gigs. How's the band balancing those? Is it all working out right now, or is it a challenge?
Yeah, that's a great question. Last year I would say about a year and a half ago was when we started the whole thing, and we were getting in the studio once a week, if that. And the first album that we created, called The Crop, which came out in April, which is 12 songs, a 12-song LP. That came together. It took us about a year, a little over, and it was a longer process, I would say. Maybe an album a year is pretty quick or on pace with whatever anybody else does. But we really wanted to just get in the studio more anyway because we loved it. Once a week was great, but I really think that quarantine had a lot to do with our music production in the last 6 months. When we started quarantine back in March, the studio owner that we're connected with, the Dub Room down in West Hollywood, which has provided a lot of the really good energy and good vibes that I think it lends a lot to the music. It's a really treasure find little studio down in West Hollywood. And The studio owner we're friendly with, he was out of town for a while, and just with family and everything. So we had a lot of opportunity to make a lot of music, and we finished our first album, and then we also put down the tracks for our upcoming album, Orchid Thief, which is another 12-song LP that we'll hope to put out by early 2021. And Roots Enterprise is a song that'll be on there, and we're definitely going to drop a few more singles leading up to it.
Well, that's really cool. What a nice opportunity. And I think that the quarantine, the the pandemic has had this effect on a lot of people, and converse to the effect it's had on a lot of others with just sort of pulling the rug out from under their livelihood or their creative, whether it was mostly for creative gain or creative and financial gain. So it's really nice that you guys had and seized, the opportunity. I was going to ask you, so you had the Crop album and earlier in the year, you do this single, and then you may have answered my question by sharing the news of Orchid Thief that you'll hopefully get out early next year. But do you guys look at doing singles versus albums, or versus EPs? What is there any discussion in the band of like what makes sense to do right now for the market? What does the attention span feel like right now? And if so, is that genre specific? And I ask because I watch a lot of different artists release stuff, and I'm always kind of curious what approach they're taking. And I just finished recording a song myself, like in the last month, and someone has invited me to. It's very tentative at the moment, but invited me to do something for a label venture that they're on, and if I do a full album. And so I'm thinking about it again. How do people watch this?
That is a great question, and we're new at it too. Definitely are learning the ropes as we go and seeing what works, and especially in the whole digital music world where it's not just getting on the Billboard Top 100 or on the radio now. Even though I wish it was like that. That sounds so cool. Right now it really is a like a consumption. I would say like a consumer consumption type environment where you have these songs that are coming out, these mini EPs or singles by tons of artists all the time, and to me it does seem sort of overwhelming, like an overwhelming market. Spotify and Apple Music and Amazon, you have Deezer and Tidal, all these different platforms. So what we are trying to do, I always loved looking at an artist's discography and like going into albums and saying, okay, like, Johnny Cash's first album came out in like 1956, or 57. And then what did he do next? And then, just like listening through albums. And even those artists had singles. I just watched a documentary on the Beatles, and they had mentioned that they were making singles every few months, which I thought was kind of and what I'd love to do personally is make sure that we have albums coming out, full albums where you could really go in and listen, as opposed to, like a few tracks at a time here and there. But what I think we have, like, blended with what we should be doing is putting out a few singles on each album leading up to the album. So, that way it had, we're very new at it as well. But I do think that it's nice for us, and it's also nice for people that know our music and don't know our music to at least see something that we're doing. So, if we get to put a song out every couple months, it keeps the music flowing, and it keeps, the energy going and showing that we're up to things. Mm-hmm. And it is also great. It's also fun for us because we can talk about it and post about it and share our music, because, if we did just album by album, it'd be, a year and a half at a time. So at least with singles, we could put out a few things, and enjoy that, on the way to the album release.
Sure. Well, I don't know squat, but that sounds like that seems like a good strategy to me, and it can kind of help fulfill both approaches while you're fulfilling your desire as a band right now to do full-length albums, clearly, with all the writing that you're doing. And it strikes me that the key may be just to stay creative and stay productive, and you give yourself choices as to how you're going to release and how many things you're going to release in a given period of time. So I think it's a good strategy.
Yeah, I wrote that down actually. Just stay creative.
Good for you. It's important, right?
That is. Yeah. Absolutely. Like we don't know by the numbers if it's helping, like, analytically, like did putting out a song, 3 songs in the album, like did we see like major jumps? Like even with Roots Enterprise, we haven't really hit 1,000 streams yet. And, even though it's our biggest song feature and everything, like maybe it'll blow up next year, or, it'll go viral eventually, or people will start to listen to it soon. But we personally, I just don't know if that is what it is, or if it's, being able to have like credibility, like I've seen them live and they're so much fun to see, or is it, I've listened to all 3 of their albums and they have a ton of music and they're, so.
It seems to me, my observation is that a lot of different things can happen, and some of them will just come from seemingly nowhere, but there's like with many things in life, there's the who luck facet of it. Like you just happen to connect with the right people or person that changes things for you. Or, maybe you guys, I don't know if you do this or not, but maybe you put something out for licensing or placement and it gets picked up and suddenly everyone's, trying to find out who you are and listening to all this other stuff you do. Or maybe you, like you said, you develop this amazing, or implied, I'm not maybe put words in your mouth, but you may develop this amazing following from shows or something. You just never know. And I guess, along with staying productive, just sort of staying open to the different possibilities and talking to other artists, and maybe doing these things as much as you can too, to hear what happens for different people. There's a lot of different things you can look at. And speaking of all of this, I was dying to ask you, are you your own PR machine at the moment, or do you have someone working with you? Because on the surface, it looks like you guys are doing everything.
Yeah, we are doing it all on our own right now. We'll kind of hit it all, like, three-headed dragon sort of. I'll work with a lot of the posts and putting together the pictures, and we definitely want to make some more videos like we were discussing, and that might even be an outlet that takes hold, just putting out a cool video. And then Cyrus, I would give a lot of credit to him for reaching out to, I believe he was the one that got in touch with you.
Maybe it was from a band email, and I was curious to. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna, because he was the one that put together the press release for us for the Roots Enterprise, and he's really good at just doing things for us as far as the PR, and we're happy to be on your show and be a part of your Unstarving Musician podcast, and so definitely appreciate reaching back out to us, and definitely would give the credit to Cy as far as the Lucid Phase PR that we've been doing, and definitely it's been all on our own for now.
Well, that's cool. It was a really nice looking piece that he sent, and I'm only going to share this because I know a lot of people may listen to this and think, oh, maybe I need to do that, and I picked up, a tip from a couple different places, and you'll hear it all the time too. But it's it's another layer of time in the whole process, and I know that Cy and you guys are putting a ton of time into this, doing it yourself. And probably next time I talk to you, someone's going to be doing this for you, which is awesome. But
maybe cautiously optimistic, but that sounds good.
Yeah. But I'm reflecting on a conversation I had in the earlier days of the podcast with a guy named D. Grant Smith, and he hosted a radio show for a long time, a college radio show, and he wrote a lot of stuff about, the right way to approach college radio stations. But really it was a lot of writing about how to approach people for anything. So you could plug in, anything in the college radio station. And he was really adamant that, and it makes total sense. So it feels like stating the obvious, but I think it gets overlooked pretty easily. And it can get overlooked when somebody puts a great piece together like you guys did too. And that is to do whatever little thing you can to make a connection for those of you listening who are putting out press releases or reaching out by email to podcasters or college radio stations or whomever, and one of the easiest ways to do it, but you have to be genuine and truthful, is, a little thing like, hey, I listened to this episode on your podcast, or I was listening to you on your station the other day, and anything specific you can say, or even if it's just like I did with you guys when I responded, which was the reality of it was, I scanned through the press release, I went to check out your music, I probably watched part of the video and then looked at your online presence, and I just responded like, hey, I was checking out your work, good stuff. I think that really matters a lot, and it gets overlooked. Now, there's so many things that a PR rep will do for you that you just, you don't have the bandwidth or maybe the experience to do, that takes it to a completely different level. And you know what? I spoke with a PR rep recently. I'm going to share this with you too, but I was kind of trying to figure out what made her choose to work with the artists that she chose to work with. And the one thing she said was that they, the artist, are excited, genuinely excited about the work they're doing, because that totally, she picks up on that, and that's how she can go to bat for them. So just thought I'd put that out there for everyone.
No, that's great.
Tell me. Go ahead, please.
I was just agreeing with you that really it's got to be fun and enjoyable, and that energy really does come out. People want to see that.
For sure. There's an artist mentioned, I think, on your website, maybe in the press release, who goes by Nostradamus on Instagram.
Yes.
Tell me about this artist. I was checking out their work, and I was like, oh, this is pretty cool. I like it. But yeah, tell me about the relationship, who they are, how you know them.
Yeah, it's a pretty brief relationship. This is our first piece that we've worked with him on. I also want to give a shout out to Trisha DeMarco, who Trisha is an illustrator up in upstate New York, and she designed the album cover for The Crop, which is that flower kind of with that exploding color behind it. So we had and she's another SCAD person too. So definitely that creative network kind of branched out in a way to the music in that respect as well. So Trisha did a great job with the cover, and we wanted to put something together for the single art that kind of had like a stamp appeal to it, kind of like a logo or something like that. And we had been following Nostra for a while, just on Instagram, just another one of those social media, networking connections, that we make now. And we just reached out and said, hey, we love what you're up to, especially with his tropical looks too. He's got a ton of great stuff on there, and definitely has his own dignified style in a way. And we're just hoping that he would work with us. And then, we had seen so many pieces that he has. And then we were like, well, what if, we could envision, one of our songs with the work that he does. And we had loved, for Roots Enterprise, wanted to kind of capture that Grateful Dead look, like Casey Jones with the locomotive, and kind of that, jumbo-sized engine where it kind of, shrinks into the background with the tracks and everything. And those were the references that we had sent to Nostra. And the first piece that we got back was good. It had more, it looked like he was catering more towards what we were sending him. And it was more of like a portrait or like a landscape picture, actually. And Jake, we were actually camping in July when we got the first draft back from him, and Jake on a sketchbook drew up this circle of the desert with the train tracks coming out of the desert circle. So, it broke that little circular wall with the train tracks coming out of it, and kind of had that shrink look where the engine was real big and poppy up front, and then it all kind of shrunk back. And we showed him, and what we got back is what we have now, which is, Nostra sent us back this awesome piece, where the band, where the three of us are playing like as skeletons in the desert in the background, and you have this skeleton engineer that's driving the train in the foreground. And we just loved everything about it. Is the composition and how it all kind of just feels real nice and tight. And it was just a perfect piece to put out for the Roots Enterprise single, and we'll definitely work with him again.
Yeah, he's a great artist, and it's a nice piece. Now I have to go back and look at it a little bit because I definitely missed some details. So, and there's a lot in there. So that's cool. Yeah, talented person.
Absolutely.
Is Nostra close to you guys geographically, or?
Not at all. I actually think he's in Indonesia,
Okay.
and he just had his first child as well. So we've just been pen pals.
That's cool.
Yeah.
The beauty of the internet, I tell you.
Yep.
And you mentioned SCAD, for those listening, Savannah College of Art and Design, where we were talking about the guys in the band met and picked up so many of these awesome interests that have carried over into their music. So you have an album in the pipeline. Is everything written and recorded, or are you still recording? Where are you at?
Right now, we are in the rough draft process. Everything is written. I wrote all the songs for it prior to us laying it down. I had probably 8 of them, and then finished up the last 4 as we were. But basically, what we'd like to try to do in the studio is typically we'll have a 5-hour recording session, but if we can, if there's no artists coming in after us that have booked the space, we'll actually go maybe 8 hours. And each time we don't always stick to this. If we're trying to finish up a song, we'll go in and do it over and over. But we'd like to, each time in the studio, is do something different, just to keep it fresh. So if we have well, during quarantine, we might have went in 12 times in a month. And so what we did is each time we put down the foundation for each of the new 12 songs, which felt really good to do. And, each time we would just do a pass. And so we did, the first pass was the first 12. And then our next 12 studio sessions, we went in and did, the second pass on all 12, and just kind of work like that, where we're just kind of evenly just working its way towards a finished product. And, some of them, like Roots Enterprise, of course, we finished that one first. So that one had a little bit extra love and care so far. It had maybe 3 or 4 sessions, where the others have only had 1 or 2. So everything is written and everything is down, recorded and all. And, what we do now is just kind of as far as vocals, what I like to do is sing all the tracks, as a melody that might work for them. And then, it's usually never the best vocal recordings. So the first 12 is really just to fit it in the song and see how it's arranged and how it sounds. And then I like to go in and do a second pass on all of them when, a few weeks have gone by and I've been able to listen to them, and it almost always sounds better. So that's usually our workflow. So for this next one, Orchid Thief, that one is, definitely on its way. We'll have a few more singles that we'll put out for it. And, like we're saying, hopefully by early 2021, I would say maybe sooner if we have more time, but I'm thinking around there will be when it can come out.
Cool. And I may have said crop, referring to your forthcoming album. It is Orchid Thief, and thanks for saying that. And I just wanted to say it again, because as soon as you started responding, I'm like, oh, did I say crop? So you guys you said earlier you played your first live show ever recently. Did I understand that right?
Yep, that's correct.
Tell me about the venue. What was it like? Where was it?
So the venue was a private residence in San Diego. and it was sponsored by a company called Grizzly Peak, and they're a great. They're actually a cannabis company down in San Diego, which I'm sure, as you know, California and cannabis kind of go hand in hand. And when you bring reggae music into it, then it's just, that's what it is. So especially in San Diego, I'd say they're the pioneers right now as far as just a city that is so involved in reggae for like, the United States. There's other places. The UK is really booming with reggae and dub music that they've done it in a way that is blended with drum and bass music, which I don't know if you've heard of drum and bass, but
Yep.
Huge thing out there now. And I do think it's growing. Moving from Philadelphia to Georgia at first, I brought with me, I had started listening to reggae music, Bob Marley, and then into a lot, I got into more of the Jamaican roots from the 60s and 70s later on. I would say when I came out to Los Angeles, the Gladiators, the Heptones, the Lovejoys, all these great older groups, Augustus Pablo. I really dove into it out here, and there's so much to dive into. And I give a lot of credit to some of the early bands that I worked with for showing me that music. Like Tatanka, Tatanka. They're a group that they've taken a little bit of a break now, so I don't know how many people would be familiar with them now. But they were so good, and they were, a really great group of guys, and they still are. I'm still in touch with a few of them. But when I first moved to Los Angeles, I toured with them on 3 different music tours on the West Coast, and they made some great music, and working with them. And, just spending a lot of time with them, they showed me a lot of excellent old Jamaican roots. So that, and, just listening to a lot of the California reggae bands growing up as well. Coming from Georgia to Los Angeles, I was excited to get closer to it.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Very cool. I will have to check out Tatanka. Is it Tatanka with the T-A-T? Or P as in Peter?
Yeah, Tatanka.
Anka.
Yeah,
cool.
they still have all their music up. So it's like that electronic dub, reggae. Yeah, very specific, but it's really good. And I think in 10 years, if you go back and listen to what might come then, you would kind of pull from some of those guys that were doing it, a couple of years ago.
Yeah, very cool. I'll check it out. A friend that I played with a long time ago for several years, it feels like in my memory anyway, he stayed in touch, and he hasn't written music in a really long time, and I don't think he's ever written it on his own or without it being part of a band. And he was he'd said, "Hey, I want to talk to you," because I told him I just finished a song, and actually this is really going to be the first thing I've ever published on my own and written on my own. But he told me he wanted to talk to me about process, writing process, because he hadn't done it in a while, and he was going to talk to some other people. So I thought I'd ask you to share anything that you have that might give people ideas. And I know it's different for everyone, but any ideas or tips that you have on your writing process?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I think it's definitely the most important thing for me personally to contribute to the music. Being having a huge passion for the music that we make is a huge bonus. It's exactly the sound I've always wanted to put together. It's Lucid Phase. We put together. It's reggae, but it's also, jam and blues, and Cyrus pulls a lot from the Southwestern, and, just that Southwestern sound, so there's a lot of really cool sounds that we work with, and it's just such a blessing to have that be the platform for the lyrics and for writing the songs. And I brought to the table when we first started Lucid Phase. It was really, I had a whole notebook of songs, as far as like any writer probably has, just like notes and this and that and a verse here and a chorus there. And we went into the studio for the first time, and Jake actually was a part of it. A couple months later, we forced him into it, and now he can't leave because he's such a part of it now, and he's not even looking back either. It's totally the three of us that have put together Lucid Phase. But just to start, it was Cyrus who was like, hey, why don't we get these songs up and recorded? And because he is an engineer and a multi-instrumentalist, we were actually able to lay down the songs that I was writing, and he could put, the guitar and the bass in and the keys. And a lot of the songs have come from past experiences, relationships, places that I've been, memories, all these things that were just good to get out. And now it's becoming more and more organic and tied to life. Like writing, I think, just the more you can experience, being able to get out there and taking the steps, like Pink Floyd, they said, all you touch and all you see is all your life will ever be. And it's pretty dark, but it really, if you look at it in a more positive message, it's really just, going out and touching things and seeing life and going places. You'll just experience things that you might have never thought you would have, like taking a camping trip to Northern California. You might have like 3 or 4 things that happen on the way, or you meet some weird, crazy guy at a rest stop that tells you a story, and it's like, there it is. And so, I think especially with the writing, now it's just becoming, I'd like to just make it a point where, I just go and do things and experience life, and whatever kind of hits me emotionally, I'll write it. And if it works for a song, then that's awesome. And, now I do think of it with our sound in mind. I think Lucid Phase and it's like, okay, this is our sound. And, this is what, we like to dive into some country now. On Orchid Thief, there are a few more, I would say like grassrootsy, bluesy jam country songs, acoustic. And that's definitely something. I started writing our third album, actually, Homegrown. And so there's a lot of songs on there from this summer, and, just going up to Lake Tahoe and meeting some really great people. And for, we've all been socially distanced for so long. So being able to kind of get in touch with some humans that you really connect with, it was really special. So that, all those things that like life experiences, definitely past relationships. There's quite a few love songs that I've written. And among other things that, I'll just see on a day to day and just have felt the desire to write about it.
I love that. There's a lot of really good stuff in there I think people can take away and maybe even ask questions about. Hey, man, thank you for spending time with me today. It was really a pleasure getting acquainted, learning about what you guys are doing and how you got there and where you're hoping to go. And I wish you all the best. I think you guys are great.
Thank you, Bonzo. Thank you for having us on the show. I can't wait to hear it, and we'll definitely be looking through all the podcasts that you've done with other artists.
Cool, man. I'll talk to you soon. This episode was powered by Bandzoogle, the easiest all-in-one professional website platform for musicians and bands. With Bandzoogle, you can create a beautiful website that's as unique as your music. Bandzoogle websites feature selling tools so that you can sell directly to your fans on your own terms with no commission sales. Bandzoogle also helps you see how fans are using your website with interactive visitor reports. You can choose a free custom.com web address, and get a blazing fast, reliable website with best-in-class hosting technology. Bandzoogle takes care of all the technical details too, so you can focus on your music. My artist website is on Bandzoogle, and I love it. But see for yourself. Go to bandzoogle.com to start your 30-day free trial. Use the promo code ROBONZO to get 15% off your first year. Go to bandzoogle.com. Use the promo code ROBONZO, ROBONZO, to start your free trial today. This episode was powered by ConvertKit. As a creator, you're at the mercy of social media algorithms to connect with your audience, but with ConvertKit's free plan, you can manage up to 1,000 email subscribers to reach your fans directly in their inbox. Build meaningful relationships with your followers by sharing your ideas and projects and offering value with custom landing pages and free downloads. ConvertKit's beautifully designed but extremely simple templates give you a great email writing experience. As a creator, you deserve to get paid for your work, and ConvertKit has a simple and streamlined system to help you launch digital products your fans are excited to buy. Learn how ConvertKit can help you connect with your audience so that you can make a living doing the work that you love. Go to unstarvingmusician.com/convert or the show notes for this episode. Did you know you can help other independent artists find this podcast by subscribing on Apple Podcasts or wherever you are listening to your podcast these days? It really does help, so I hope you will consider it. And if you have feedback, please go to unstarvingmusician.com to get all my contact info. You can text me, call me, email me, leave a voice message right there on that page. Just go down to the bottom of the page and you'll find everything you need to know. I really would love to hear any of your comments, suggestions, questions, whatever you've got. And you can find links to just about everything talked about in this episode at unstarvingmusician.com/podcast. All right, I'm peacing out. Thank you for listening and sharing with your musician friends and fellow indie music fans. Peace, gratitude, and a whole lot of love.